Already we have given an hint to understand what are the major factors responsible for high growth of service sector. After the reforms, the agriculture sector has declined, industrial sector could not make enough growth, whereas service sector could make sufficient growth and emerge as one of the highest contributor to the national income or to the GDP. So service sector enjoyed sufficient growth in the service sector. What are the factors? What are the elements that helped service sector to grow to more profitable way? So this can be seen from the point of view of 2 marks as well as for 8 marks also, for 4 marks as well as 8 marks. Now we will say for 2 marks and further we will continue for 8 and 4 marks. It is more profitable to contract service from developing countries. Developed countries thought it is very negotiable, very easy to get employment or work from the developing countries because it is cheaper there. So in India or developing countries could easily give a skilled manpower at a lower rate of interest. The developed countries came to know there is easy availability of skilled manpower at low wage rate in developing countries or underdeveloped countries. So India, being a developing country, had these two chances. Developed countries thought it's easy to get, and India was opened, and secondly, India had a skilled manpower which is ready to work for lower rate of a wage rate. So therefore, they easily could get Indian workers for doing their jobs. So thus, the service sector enjoyed a growth. So from here, we will see from 8 marks or as well as for 4 marks. High demand for service sector as a final product in India. India was a virgin market for service sector. It's a growing market for service sector because various skills, technology fields were open to the India. So when the service sector started booming or growing due to business outsourcing from the developed countries to India, there was a very high demand for these services, especially for banking, computer service, advertisement, e-commerce, communication, web design, web hosting, multimedia development, search engine optimization, custom software developing. All these services had a boom because of outsourcing, because of improvement in the transport and communication. There is a high demand for Indian services. This high demand in turn led to the high growth rate of service sector. High demand, if there is high demand, this will give a high growth of that sector. So surely, if you want to grow, you should have high demand. That's the thing of notion you need to study from this one. If you have low demand, you are less demanded, you have no growth. Liberalization and economic reforms you have already seen that affected the service sector very much than the industrial sector. The growth of Indian service sector is also attributed to the liberalization and various economic reforms that were initiated means started in 1991. Of course, all the liberalization, globalization and privatization, these elements as very effectively affected of 1991 economic reforms. Due to these reforms, various restrictions on the movement of international finance were minimized. This led to the huge inflow of foreign capital, foreign direct investment, and outsourcing in India. So, all these reforms made the easy movement of finance. Easily, the finance can come to India. So, start a factory. So, start a company. This company can give employment and because the work that can be done in developed country easily can be outsourced to India, because starting up a small company, because in India the setting up of a company is a low cost, and easily India is allowing the flow inside the money, that is called FDI, foreign direct investment. This is all happened due to liberalization of outsourcing. This encouraged the service sector to grow to a better level. All these elements are making liberalization better. The structural transformation. Earlier, India was too much depending on agriculture to contribute more to the GDP. Now, from there to the tertiary sector, that is service sector, is contributing more to the growth of GDP. Why? Because more employment is generated and more income is being generated from the service sector because of transformation of IT sector. We will see that. In Indian economy is experiencing structural transformation, structural change that implies, that understood, shift of economic dependence from primary sector to tertiary sector or service sector. Due to this transformation, we are shifting. Transformation means the shift. There was increase in the demand for service sector. There is a growth of service sector by other sectors, which why boosted the service sector. Because of all these efforts, liberalization and the demand for service sector, the growth that has happened in the service sector has led to the highest contributor to the GDP and is leading the contribution in the economic growth as well. Therefore, Indian economy, which was primarily depended on, earlier structure was primary dependency on agriculture. If you see 1950 to 1980s, highest dependency on agriculture sector. From 1988 to onwards, that is after 1991, too much dependency on service sector because it is contributing to the growth of national income. That's why all these are, service sector is booming because of growth and advancement in the IT sector. Advanced technology and growth of IT sector. The advancement in and innovations in the IT sector enabled the use of internet, telecommunication, mobile phone, and the electronic transactions across different countries. All these contributed to the growth of the service sector in India. Once the advanced technology and IT sector grows, new initiations will start for innovations, and there will be advancement of technology and transport and communication. So the transport and communication in advanced level will happen on internet. So internet will facilitate for development of or improvement in the telecommunication, mobile phone, as well as electronic transaction of funds from one country to another country. All these contributions will lead to the growth of service sector. The increased volume of trade. Liberalization has reduced the tariffs or lowered the tariffs. Non-tariff barriers also have been removed. All these removal and the making liberalization made the very easy path for the high growth of service sector. So easily foreign traders can come and invest in the domestic market and make the service sector grow, because international market for Indian service sector is ever expandable. Low tariffs and non-tariff barriers on imports by India are also responsible for high growth of service sector. The foreign trade reforms enable the domestic products to interact and compete with the international market. So the liberalization in service sector, Indian service sector could compete with the rest of the world and acquire better growth. The cheap labor and reasonable degree of skill in India. Due to the availability of cheap labor and reasonable degree of skilled manpower in India, developed countries can found an outsource to India feasible. Feasible means very easily you can access, very good also to access, and it is profitable because less wages you need to pay for high work. This feasible, therefore, it's very good, no? The meaning is it's very good, right? such kind of understanding for the developed countries to invest or outsource in India. The business outsourcing in itself provided substantial encouragement for the development of human capital that requires service like good coaching centers and reputed institutions. Growth of the service sector is happens. So service sector has growing means the tuitions, the coaching centers all will take chance to develop. So thus the human capital formation will happen. Highly acquiring skill knowledge places who will get to know. See, easily you can train Indians. Indians are very good and skillful people. Discuss the next question that is in our understanding is all these reforms, did they bring economic welfare or social justice in India? After seeing all the reforms, do you get satisfied that India has really developed or brought economic growth or social welfare or social justice? Is that all only a service sector that is growing? All these will be discussed in the coming video with the title Discuss Economic Reforms in India in the Light of Social Justice and Welfare.